So now you can retweet it.
Perfect. Yep. For everyone just joining in, my name is Rob Dauster. That gentleman you see below me is the one and only Jeff Goodman, and we are joined today by the host of the Go Blue with Stu podcast, the one and only Stu Douglass. He's a little down in the dumps today. You know, it wasn't a very good night for Stu and for the Michigan faithful tonight.
No, I don't really know what I watched, and I was just waiting. You know, I'm waiting for them to turn around like they always do, and it just didn't happen. And it's like, I feel like an idiot. I don't know, but these things happen. I mean, what are you going to do? It's college basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason why they're games.
It looked like the early days of the John Beilein, the Stu Douglass, Zach Novak team, you know?
Well, no, see, the first year we were scrapping. We always stayed in. Second year, we got a little overconfident. So maybe this team doesn't really seem like that. They're not the type of team that seems like super overconfident or they could get like that. I think it was just one of those dry spells. And again, you know, we've talked about it. I've talked about it on the podcast and with you guys, and it's like, they've had the Ohio State game, I think even in the Wisconsin game when they've come back from the break, and like they've had to have one guy kind of step up and save them for like a first half dry spell, and they just had a dry spell the entire game. And then, you know, that happens. They're allowed to have that. Like we keep college basketball, college sports is all about dissecting each game as it happens, and it's like, you know, these are college kids. This is going to happen.
So what was it about this game and this matchup? Was it just you know, Illinois kind of took advantage of some of the questions we have about the point guard play? Was it just something where maybe Michigan came into this thing, oh, they don't have Ayo Dosunmu, there's no way that they're going to be able to win this game? Was it just one of those nights? Like, what do you think happened?
I think Illinois came out and they kept the energy for 40 minutes, and Michigan just got a little uncomfortable, and then they got tight, and then they were kind of looking at each other, and then Franz, you know, guys didn't really show up, and that's fine. Like, it's no super knock on them, but just didn't really show up. They got tight and then got nervous, and then they kind of do that thing where, you know, this is an equal opportunity offense, and it's an offense where everybody's got to flow for one person to flow, and they were just kind of looking at each other, and then nobody was really stepping up. I mean, you know, Austin Davis was the most efficient player out there, and he was scoring on Coburn like it was nothing, and it, you know, if that's going on, that's going to be a rough night for everybody. So they kind of give a flow of things, and you've seen that with this Michigan team where it's like, all right, we're kind of struggling, but we're going to hit that moment where we make a run. Like, you know, they always say the cliche is basketball is a game of runs, and just Michigan just didn't hit it.
I think this is great for them. Honestly, I do. Right. I don't like, now you get pounded and embarrassed by a team without the one of the National Player of the Year candidates. And now, you know what? Juwan's got their attention now. He's got their attention. They were able to kind of – listen, they've obviously played great basketball, but I think were they as good as what people were saying? And I think – I don't want to say they've started to kind of, you know, believe their clippings, because they have had one hell of a year. But they're not that good. They're not that good that they can start to not put their foot on the gas and be able to just beat teams, like you said, individually. They got to move the basketball. And they didn't move the basketball tonight, and they also weren't the tougher team. Like, Illinois kind of punked them a little bit.
Oh, the entire time. It was like every possession. And I think they just dared, what's his name, Curbelo and Frazier, Miller, they dared him. I think Illinois had 9 assists on 30 made baskets. They just dared those guys to drive and make plays, and they did. And then there was no adjustments. So that was a little strange. They didn't really try and fix anything with that. And maybe they thought they were just going to get tired. Who knows? But yeah, you're right. Howard can go into that film session and get their attention real quick. I know Beilein always loved. He said it was always it was always very difficult to win to learn after wins. So, like, you know, there's always a appreciation for a loss like this.
Well, do you think that there's always this narrative, right, that sometimes teams need a loss before they go into March, and sometimes you got to get your ass kicked to be able to get woken up or whatever it is? Like, do you believe that? Do you buy that?
Not always. I mean, there's a certain truth to it. I mean, I know my team, my senior year, like when we won a share of the Big Ten title, we were gassed out. And then the Big Ten tournament played horrible. We lost in the first round to Ohio, got upset. So, mentally that can happen with certain teams. But, this team knows that they're a national championship contender, so it's a little different. It's not like a team on a hot streak where you don't know what's going on. You know exactly what this team is about and what they're capable of. So that's a little different. I don't think they exactly need it, but I don't see anything but positives coming from this. So that's at least a plus.
Would it have mattered, Stu, if you think if Juwan kept Hunter in with 3 fouls? Would it have mattered, or would he have picked up his 4th? And could they have made a run? Could they have made it interesting potentially?
I don't think so. I think at this point now we realize that, a guy like Franz needs to play more of a part in the offense, and that Hunter is – I'm not saying teams have figured him out, but, he's come back down to reality a little bit. He's not going to be averaging 20 and 10, and that's fine. He's still a great player, but they're not going to be running the offense through him. Isaiah and Franz need to be the leaders on offense, and then Mike Smith, you need to pick it up as well. You can definitely run your offense through Hunter. He's definitely got the talent. But to say that he was needed to make a run and he was needed to be kept in with those 3 fouls, nah, I'm not going to quite go there.
One of the things that I thought that
1 for 9, 2 points tonight for Franz.
Yeah, I just remember watching the game and just wait, where is Franz even in? What's going on there? And that's just it's a stepping stone. It's another learning experience for him. He'll get there.
One of the things I think Illinois did well was they kept the ball on one side of the floor, and it felt a little bit like they were able to get Michigan out of the stuff that they were running. And you kind of touched on this earlier, but Michigan does feel like a team where they need to get their offense they need to get their points out of their offense, right? They need to scheme up shots. They don't necessarily have as many great playmakers if you're going up against a team that can kind of take you out of what you want to do and match up with you one-on-one. And it felt like Illinois was the first team to really kind of get to them that way.
Yeah, it was odd. There was a couple possessions where I think they were denying, was it Hunter or Austin have it out top and, past 3-point line, and then they were denying the guards, and then kind of guys were just looking at each other. I mean, they were throwing it down to Austin Davis, and, Austin Davis has proven himself to be worthy in the post, honestly. He's honestly been efficient all year. Yeah. But he's not the guy you're going to go to and then just look at and say, throw your hands up and go, all right, make a play, dude. That's not the thing that they're going to do. And there was a couple possessions where they did exactly that. So they got flustered. They got thrown out. And then, it's kind of well, who's going to pick it up for us? And just nobody did. And I think that's where Isaiah and especially Franz, Isaiah from a mental leadership aspect and also, talent-wise, but Franz from a talent-wise aspect, they both need to lead that team getting out of a rut like that. And it just was not there.
You know what I think also will help Juwan is think about this. Think about how long he was in the NBA and how many of these type of games happen in the NBA. Every night there's one, right? Every night you look at it and you're like, how the hell did Detroit beat the Celtics, a week and a half ago or whatever. So I think if there's somebody that's able to put this in perspective, figure out how to get these guys to learn from it and not let it happen. Now, again, in the NCAA tournament, hopefully you're not going to let it happen, right? You're going to be up for every game. But ultimately, Juwan's gone through this 100 times.
This is a thing that I think a lot of people don't really recognize, or it's not something they would recognize from a college fan standpoint, but these coaches carry a lot of weight, and especially a guy like Juwan, and you can take an 18, 19-year-old kid and you can beat the confidence out of them super quick. And, it doesn't matter if this team was undefeated and guys were averaging 20, you can get into a guy's head confidence-wise by telling him he sucks for one game. It can be a problem. I don't foresee that. I'm just saying that, there is definitely a balance there. And Juwan is a guy. You got to be careful. Yeah, you got to be careful with that stuff. And Juwan is a guy that knows that these things happen. So he can get in there, dissect it, look at it and say all right, yeah, you guys sucked and this isn't you. And you got to make sure, you got to remind them this is not who we are. Instead of trying to beat them into submission to play better, that just doesn't work.
Well, you never had that. You had a guy in Beilein that was smart enough, right? He never. Did he beat you guys down really ever?
It was different. I think it was different because he was building the culture where it was like he's beating the bad habits out of guys. Right. He's beating his culture that he wants into guys. Like they were not all the guys that he wanted to recruit. I mean, to be honest with you, 6, 7 guys had to pass up on my scholarship to get there. So it was like, it was a little different for him in those film sessions. I imagine, it's just a little more relaxed, especially when you have the type of talent that you have now. And like the 2013 team, for instance, right after I left, he's a little more chill in the film sessions than he was in the first few years of my career.
Well, with Petey and Manny, he wasn't chill with those guys. They didn't buy in right away. Really?
I mean, they were so talented, and they weren't Beilein's guys. So it's like there's a mental thing there that like really nothing bad against either of them, but it's from both sides. It's a mental thing that it's hard to really dissect, honestly.
All right, so we got to talk about Illinois here as well, and I think that we've made this point quite a bit, Stu, that the best thing that could have happened to this Illinois team was that Io got hurt in retrospect, right? Like big picture, assuming he comes back and he's healthy, and like this injury is not something that's going to be kind of career altering. The chance to give Andre Curbelo the reins and let him see what it's like to run a college basketball team at this level. The fact that you have to force Adam Miller to be someone to step up and take those shots. I think that in the long run, this is going to be something that is good for them and makes them, in my mind, more likely to be a team that can get to the Final Four and win a national title.
Yeah, where's that sweet spot? Where's that sweet spot for Curbelo? Like, he's not going to be running the game like he was. I mean, he was like a kid in a candy store today. It was like kid on the playground. He was like, this is why I signed up for basketball. And then when Io comes back, it could be a little bit of a rude awakening, but it does prove that they have the talent on the wing to compete. And they can defend against bigger teams with bigger wings. And then also, I think you don't really need Coburn to be posting up and playing down low and like just let him set screens and be a big fella and do all that, and that like the wings can take over. So it's funny how that works for both sides, but I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, Curbelo was like, he looked so happy out there. It was crazy.
Well, because when he committed, when he signed, he didn't think they'd have Io. Like it was going to be the Curbelo and Adam Miller and Trent Frazier. This was a team that we thought we were going to see this year. And listen, nobody saw this come. Nobody saw this coming. Again, like Michigan's not this bad. Illinois is not quite this good, obviously, without Io. But what it does is it gives them confidence if Io gets into foul trouble in the tournament. They know they can win. Now, again, I think the matchup was good in a way for them as far as the bigs, right? I mean, that's the one thing Rob and I have talked about.
They flipped it on its head, right? Like, so the whole thing I was concerned about was like, how is Illinois going to deal with the size that Michigan has on the wings? Like Michigan, they can play Shawnee at the 2, they can play Franz at the 3, and Isaiah at the 4. And Illinois' best lineup basically has 4 guys that are small, 6'4" and smaller, with 2 point guards that are like 5'8" on a good day.
Did you guys see Franz get in the paint? Like, I don't remember him getting like really in the paint and just
in that one play he got in and then he faded away.
Yeah,
they kind of got him under him. He couldn't really deal with it.
I mean, those are the types of matchups where you got to look across the way and you're like, this dude's 6'3". Like, I am eating today. Like, this is going to be cake. And even if you go 1 for 15, like, that's the mentality you got to keep. And again, I don't want to talk too much crap about Franz. Like, this is a learning experience, and he'll get in film, and Juwan will be like, dude, that dude is 6'3". Like, just go get the ball and go. Same with Isaiah. Like, it's going to be ultimately good for them.
Yeah, I think this was one of those games for Michigan. Obviously, they're 18-2. They're 18-2. Like, if you had told anybody they'd be 18-2 right now, you would have signed up in a heartbeat. Again, now you've got the 4 number 1 seeds, to me, pretty much solidified. It's going to be hard for me to imagine anything changing at this juncture with Gonzaga, with Baylor winning tonight. I mean, there was a huge win for Baylor.
Yeah, we got to talk about that a little bit too. Who does Illinois have left? Do you know? I'm bringing up their schedule right now, actually.
Illinois has –
I think they have 2 games left. No, they have 1. They're at Ohio State on Saturday. And even if they lose that game, I think that they're probably still a little bit above.
Yeah, they'd have to lose that one and probably lose their first game.
They have the most quad 1 wins in all of college basketball. The most quad 1 wins. And now they
yeah. Honestly, I don't see much of a scenario where somebody else can steal a number 1 seed. I mean, maybe something crazy happens, but for the most part, even if Ohio State beats Illinois, I think the only way is if Ohio State beats Illinois and wins the Big Ten tournament. That'd probably be it, or Iowa. I don't even think Iowa can do it. I don't think they can overtake either Illinois
I think Ohio State can. If Ohio State goes on a run and wins the Big Ten tournament, then Ohio State's going to be a 1 seed.
Right. They got to beat Illinois and win the Big Ten tournament, and then they're a number 1 seed, probably, or right there.
Yeah. But right now, I think that it's very clear that it's Illinois is the 4th number 1. You got to give them all the credit in the world, man. That was a hell of a performance. The craziest part about it is they played 4 games in 8 days.
Right.
3 of those games are on the road. And they're doing it without Iowa. Like it's really, really impressive what they've been able to do without him. And I don't think that, we talked a lot about Michigan on this stream so far.
We got Stu on.
Because we got Stu Douglass, who played. For people that don't know, he played at Michigan. I know he looks like a deer hunter right now, but he played at Michigan. But I mean, that was very, very, very impressive from Illinois. All right, Stu, how much of the Baylor game did you watch?
I watched a little bit at the end. I saw some at the end, and then the point guard just take it to the body and force OT. So
the truth is, what you went to go turn on ESPN to watch the Michigan game, and the Baylor game ran over. So you ended up watching that.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, I was making chili before that. Okay, I was prepping chili. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah, talk me through it. What do you got? How do you make your chili?
Oh, we had a beef chili with red kidney beans, and then the key is a nice combo of Worcestershire sauce, white vinegar, and Corona.
Corona. You know what I do? I like the beer is a good call. I do the beer as well. But then I take a packet of taco seasoning and I put the taco seasoning in the chili, stir that all up. It gives it a little bit of kick, a little bit of flavor. Makes it a little bit.
I did my own little taco seasoning. I had my own little fair share of seasonings, but yeah, I like the taco seasoning kick. That's good.
See, my big problem when it comes to chili is that my wife doesn't eat red meat, so I got to make like turkey chili. And like when it's turkey or
make a bean chili, what's the point?
It's just not. It's nowhere near the same. So it's very, got to make some sacrifices when you get married, Stu. It's rough. I can't have beef in my chili.
You can make your own separate chili, I guess. 2 pots.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
All right, Baylor, West Virginia, Goodman, huge win. Did you see this one coming? Probably, I think it's fair to say, best game of the college basketball season to date, most entertaining.
Most entertaining. I'm not sure it was like the best in terms of well played, but it was definitely the most entertaining, and especially when you had Baylor, just kind of the storyline of them coming back, struggling against Iowa State, losing to Kansas, and if they had lost this one tonight and it looked like they were in major trouble, who knows what could have happened to their psyche? And Stu, you could talk to that a little bit. Like you talk about a team that just got it going, that has this long pause. They're out for 3 weeks. They come back. They practice twice. Now, 8 guys. This is something that I've reported here. 8 players on Baylor got COVID in this last run.
That's a lot.
So 8 guys. So you have the break. You have this 19-day break where they didn't practice. Plus 8 guys are coming back from COVID, and everybody reacts differently. Yeah. So, like Kansas fans are killing me when I say, like, that is not Baylor. The other night, they were like 5 days removed from coming back. Now, they're still not Baylor tonight. Like, I still didn't think they were like the Baylor team that we have seen, but they are getting closer and closer, and they needed this win for their psyche as much as anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's momentum both ways. It happens to everybody. Everyone is susceptible to it, especially 18 to 22-year-old kids, where it's like, you get on that stage, you get to the top, and especially when you reach success, where you're like, all right, we got to the top, and then how do you maintain that success? Like, that's what makes teams special, and that is why, that's why Gonzaga gets number 1 seeds and then they lose. Like, it is not easy. It is not easy to maintain success. So it is good that they got this win. On the COVID point, like, I've heard a lot of players where, everything seems normal, and it's like legs are dead for a month, and what are they going to do? Complain? Like, they're taught not to complain, just to keep going. So it could affect them for a long time, especially 8 guys. Like, there's got to be at least 1 or 2 that are going to have lingering effects some way or another. So it's going to be
just energy, and again, you're losing your time and you're not able to practice, and you're coming back. So it's the combo.
The other part of it is that when you're trapped in like a dorm room or a hotel room and you got to quarantine, you got to do whatever. Like if you're feeling well and you're at least healthy, then you could do things like just do 500 burpees, and at least then you're going to like keep some kind of like fitness, some kind of win, and some kind of leg strength. If you have COVID and you're just knocked out for even if it's like 3 or 4 days, that could really change the way that like your health. And you've played a higher level of sports than either of us. Like, am I right in saying that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anything helps. Again, they are like 18 and 20-year-old kids. So like my warm up back then was just, the first game of open gym. And now it's like, hold on, guys, 20 minutes of all this routine. And so it's obviously very different for them. But like the thing with COVID is like you maybe not even get sick and you feel fine and like you work out and then it hits you where you're like your legs are dead, your lungs are dead. So it's a strange thing to maneuver where we're probably not even going to get the truth about how those guys feel.
Yeah. Goodman, the one thing I would have pushed back on you on, though, is that you said that you don't think this was the real Baylor. I thought it was.
I still don't.
Look, West Virginia,
all the way back.
They might not be all the way back, but that was the Baylor right there. That was them digging deep and making the plays at the end of the game that they needed to make. Yeah. West Virginia has a lot of dudes that can score. West Virginia is very difficult to match up with the 4 guys they have shooting. They had Sean McNeil going. They had Miles McBride going. They had Taj Sherman going, right? When those 3 guys are going, like they are very tough to guard, especially when they got the big fella inside that's eating everybody up. So the fact that they were on the road against a team like this in overtime, coming back down the stretch, to me, just like that tells you everything you need to know about this group. Maybe they're not back to 100% yet, but that's what you need.
Like Everyday John isn't back. He's not back. He's not playing the minutes. He was the last one to come back, right? So like he's definitely not back. I thought Matthew Myers saved him tonight to some degree. I mean, some of the moves he made. I mean, listen, I tweeted like his upside is ridiculous. It is. It's now the hair's got to go. Like he's got to get rid of that mop top or whatever it is. But it's bad, Stu.
No, it's great.
Jealous? You jealous?
I love every part of it. Oh yeah, it's like buzz on the side a little bit. Like it's perfectly manicured.
He really does look like a guy that should be sitting in front of deer antlers when he's on a live stream talking about that.
He definitely does. He's probably got like 7 on his wall.
Yeah,
he's so funny, man. Like I talked to him last week for a while, and the big thing of him is like he'll lose his phone a million times. Like he's like the most like immature in a different way, right? Like his car's a disaster. Like my 17-year-old daughter, like the same thing.
Did you hear his story about how he put on the weight this summer?
He told me.
He ate fast food 3 times a day. They said he wanted to put on 25 pounds, so he ate like Whataburger 3 times a day. And he came back to campus, and his body fat percentage was like 18%. And so he put on the weight, but then he had to turn all the weight into muscle. He said it was pretty awful trying to get like himself not looking like a fat slob. But I'll tell you what, someone with that hair, I'm not surprised that the way they put on weight was to eat fast food 3 times.
I think Matthew Hurt might have a different uniform on right now, Rob, for Duke. And he shaved? I don't know. Looks like him.
I wouldn't know. I don't get the ACC network, so I can't watch Duke anymore.
Yeah. It's the ACC
no,
network.
it's Joey Baker. It was Joey Baker. I'm like, I got it further back here, so I can't really see it. It's on my other laptop. Tie game, 1:32 left. Duke, Georgia Tech, the biggest game of Josh Pastner's career right now.
It's a lot riding on it.
A lot riding.
Can he get in the tournament?
The face shield. Have you seen the face shield, Stu?
No.
No, you haven't seen Josh Pastner in the face shield? You need to see it.
God. Does he match with it too?
Full face shield, like he's a welder, right? I mean, like he's a full-fledged welder. It's pretty cool.
So Mike Rutherford, the guy that runs Card Chronicle, he used to write for SB Nation. His big thing this year has been saying that he hopes Georgia Tech has an unbelievable season so that Josh Pastner like starts thinking that this is lucky, like it's Rip Hamilton, and so that he ends up just wearing the face shield for the rest of his coaching career just because he thinks it's so lucky.
No, even better, he wears it out. He just wears it everywhere. Like even when we don't have to wear masks, he wears it everywhere.
In 17 years, Josh Pastner is going to be coaching some like High Point, wearing the mask on the sideline. Hey, it brings me luck. I lost 3 jobs, but it's still lucky.
We got Michigan State in a tight one with Indiana. Like 2 really big games coming down the stretch here. And Georgia Tech with the air ball. A minute left. Duke, Georgia Tech. Oh.
Where's mine?
Huh? Where's your what?
I'm looking for the remote. My TVs are right over there, but I turned them off.
Stu, what else you got going on?
Not much. Not much at all. Basketball training, talking Michigan basketball, going back to Israel. That's about all I got in life right now. It's basketball.
You gotta stay in shape. You can't get over to Israel and not be ready.
No, staying in shape at 30 is very different. It is quite bizarre to say the least.
I miss 30. I miss staying in shape at 30. I got to tell you, 30 was easy.
You know what's funny is you're like 24 and you're like, all right, something's hurting my knee like a little bit, but it'll be fine. I'll work through it. And really what it is an imbalance in your body. Okay. And then you get to 30 and you're like, wow, I should have worked on that imbalance back when I was 24, and now I can't even jump properly. So it's like, take it for granted.
So, Stu, you were in the Israeli league last year, right?
Yeah.
Did you play against Denny?
I did.
Talk to me about what he was like over there. Did you see this coming from him? Did you expect him to be good the first time you saw him play? Like, what was your take on him?
No, so I saw Denny dominate. I watched a lot of highlights of him playing his age group and like European showcases. And I watched the same thing with Dragan Bender, who was a washout. So I was like, it's hard to tell what these kids do. Denny was, though, 6'8" and could pass and really run the court with the ball in his hand. But I didn't think his handle was good enough. And to be honest, like, up until COVID hit, he was not super great. Like, he shot okay. Free throw shooting was bad. And then after COVID, they just Maccabi Tel Aviv was the best team in Israel, like, European legendary team. They just kind of gave him the ball, and they're like, all right, go for it, dude. Like, go get drafted high. And he just started hitting threes. He's super confident. I think he's really confident. So he just kind of plays mindless, I think, and that really helps him. I've heard he's actually pretty stupid, so I think that helps him play a lot easier and more free, which I've always been jealous of.
So just like Novak.
I watched probably 20 of his games during quarantine why not? It was the only basketball that was on.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until I turned it on, like, just how good Scotty Wilbekin is over there.
Oh, Scotty is.
That dude is he's the best player on that team. Then he got drafted. Yeah. He was the best player.
He was a top 5.
Oh no,
top 5 European player, easy.
Oh my God, what the hell? Georgia Tech, a terrible shot. It was Alvarado from deep 3. Shot clock was running down, but like they had to get something better than that. It was like a 30-footer. Now they're yelling at each other. Alvarado.
This is why people tune into the stream, is to hear your play-by-play of watching a Duke game on a channel that nobody gets.
Nobody can watch.
I stole ACC Network.
What you should do is you should turn the camera around and put it on the TV so we can actually see it.
Probably should. That's true. I'm also Indiana down 2 to Michigan State with 3 minutes left.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I had a question. Baylor, West Virginia. Is West Virginia a 2 seed?
Probably 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think
they can make their way back into a 2. They're probably, there's just so little difference right now between most of these teams. So I think as of today, they're probably. What would you say they are, Rob? They're 2 or 3.
I mean, they're kind of right there in that range. I don't think that they can get to a 1 seed. I do think that they can. That they can be a 2 seed. Like it's all going to depend on, like, how do they do in the Big 12 tournament? Do they win their last game down the stretch here? Like, what does Iowa do in the Big 10 tournament? Does Alabama end up winning the SEC tournament title, what does Ohio State do on Saturday against Illinois? Like there's teams that can make up the ground on them, but if you think about it, like outside of the top 8, these are the teams that we're talking about that would be able to play their way up past West Virginia. And tell me if you think any of these teams are going to end up with a profile good enough to do it. Houston, Villanova, Florida State, Kansas, Arkansas, Texas, Creighton, Virginia. So like it gets
a couple of them. Yeah, like if Florida State wins the ACC tournament, they could. In West Virginia, like
they're not going to add a good win. If they win the ACC tournament, they're going to add what?
They're not going to have a bad loss potentially. So I guess it just,
yeah, you're right.
It just depends.
I was about to say at North Carolina, since that's not a good loss. You can't lose a tournament team or a non-tournament team.
Duke's going overtime.
Duke's going to overtime.
So I'll ask you another question. Illinois and Michigan is now, let's say it ends up they both went out, pretty even Big Ten championship run in the tournament, Big Ten tournament championship. They both don't win, but maybe lose in the semifinal or something. Does Illinois get a number 1 seed and they get the Midwest? Like, do they get it over Michigan? Like, who gets the Midwest?
There's no Midwest.
Yeah, it's not going to matter this year.
Remember, they're all in. Yeah, everybody's in the Midwest.
Why am I so stupid?
I don't know. Again,
it's that Michigan.
When you call Denny stupid, then it comes back to haunt
you. You go. You call
it does. Exactly it. Karma.
I don't. But to answer your question, I don't think that they can make their way above Michigan because Michigan, so they were entering tonight. There were 3 teams that had 8 quad 1 wins. One of them was Illinois. One of them was Oklahoma State, and the other one was Michigan. So they're number 2 in the net. Like they're 18-2. They have those 2 horrible losses, but it's not like Illinois has been unblemished so far this season. So I don't think that they can. I think that Michigan can almost lose out, and they might be able to still be above Illinois depending on the way that things play out. I think they're pretty far ahead. Am I wrong, Jeff? What do you think?
No, I think you're right. But so many fans will look at this one game, and that's the problem, right? Well, they killed them. They killed them without Io, so they should be in front of them because it doesn't matter. It's like the Dauster theory of at the end of November, any game that happened at the end of November, Stu, doesn't count.
Doesn't
count. It was never played. It doesn't matter at all. November, early December, the game's
there's 2 different things. There's 2 different. So, Stu, this is a long running argument that Jeff and I have had. And are you into advanced analytics at all? Do you understand what efficiency margin is? Do you understand what KenPom is? That kind of stuff. Because explaining it to Jeff is probably explaining to you how there's no regions in the NCAA tournament this year.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah. But so my take has always been that when you're doing rankings, if you're ranking a top 25 for the AP poll, you're putting that together, then if somebody lost on the 3rd of November in the first game of the season, a really bad loss, but then they end up reeling off 8 straight great wins in February, and it's the first week of March, and you're ranking that team, it's okay to say, well, that was a weird loss in November, but this team right now is kicking everybody's ass, and they're one of the top 15 teams in America. You can rank them there, even if they have a bad loss. That loss doesn't matter. It should come into effect when you see them, but it doesn't matter when it comes to ranking, when you're talking about the best team in America in a snapshot.
Here's what Dauster would do. If Kentucky started the season 0-7, which it was close to that, right? They're 0-7.
No, this is not.
But then
it's actually accurate. This is just not.
Then they win Stu. Then they win their next 7. Dauster would just pretend that the first 7 never happened, and he'd have them in the top 5.
Something tells me we're a little off on both sides, but okay.
that's just not. There's just no truth to that.
Why don't we look at wins more? Why are bad losses always so bad? Isn't the NCAA tournament about just beating the best teams once? Why are we always focusing so much on bad losses? I know there's a difference. If you take these 2 teams, you want to compare them, their resume is so tight, but it's sometimes, a team is knocked down a couple seeds because of some bad losses, and it's a little bizarre at times.
It depends on how bad the losses are and how many of them that they have. If you have one blip because a guy was hurt, it shouldn't It should be a tiebreaker. It shouldn't cost you all that much. But if you have like 3 bad losses on your resume, a couple of them at home to teams that you shouldn't lose to, then I think it should drop you. I think that the overall body of work is what should determine where you are. Now, if you've proven that you can beat top 5 teams and like that's who you want to pick when you fill out your bracket, but I think that the losses have to get taken into effect or taken into account. Goodman, we haven't gotten a Duke update from you in a while. What's going on over there?
It is Georgia Tech 70, Duke 66.
Ooh, that's not good.
Left in overtime. The Fighting Face Shields are winning.
Man, Stu, this is just not going to be a good night for you, man. Like Michigan State looks like they're going to end up beating Indiana. Michigan gets their ass kicked by Illinois.
I mean,
they've had a good enough year. Listen,
I just wanted Archie Miller to do so well. I wanted Crean gone, and I wanted the next guy in to do so well, and nothing's going right for me in college basketball. I don't understand.
Tonight. You've had a pretty good year. You've had a pretty good year as a Michigan Wolverine guy.
It's been a pretty solid year. Yeah.
That's a good question to ask you. So you grew up in Indiana. Did you grow up an Indiana fan?
No, I hated Indiana because I hated Bob Knight.
Really?
Yeah. I hated Bob Knight because he just represented everything that I didn't like about coaching and about people in positions of power and abusing it. And then also I'm a bit of a contrarian. So my whole entire town that I grew up in loved IU and they loved Bob Knight. And I was like, no, screw that. I don't want to do the same thing you guys do. So that was a bit of it. And then also the other part was that I loved UNC and Michael Jordan. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, Bob Knight was the one coach that I've been scared to ask a question to in a press conference. No other coach ever. He's the only dude that I remember. I covered him a couple times at Texas Tech when he broke the record. And, I was scared. I was scared to ask a question because you just knew he was going to bite your head off. And you didn't want to be embarrassed in front of everybody. No matter what question you asked, it could have been a great question. It didn't matter.
Have I ever told you my Bob Knight story?
What?
I don't think I've ever told you this, Goodman. When I was first getting into the business, probably in 2012 or 2013, back when Bob Knight was still doing the TV stuff. He did a game at Georgetown. Then I was living in DC, and Georgetown, that was the only place that I could get credentials to. So I go to the game, and I remember the advice that I got from people was shake everybody's hand, introduce yourself to everybody, try to get to know everybody, learn who the people are in the business where you want to be in their role. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go shake everybody's hand. So Bob Knight was sitting there, and it was an hour before the game. So I walk over and I tap him on the shoulder. I'm like, Coach Knight, and I put my hand out to go shake his hand. And nothing, didn't even acknowledge me. It was like I was tapping on the table and he couldn't hear me. So I do it again. I was like, Coach Knight. And I just sat there with my hand out for 3 seconds. I was like, oh, guess this isn't happening. So I had to walk away with an entire section of fans behind me laughing at me as I tried to make Bob Knight. That was bad.
We ate at Carnegie Deli with him once late at night. It was me, Gary Parrish, maybe Billis was there. There were 4 or 5 of us. And I had never really, he didn't know who the hell I was. And we were sitting directly across from each other. Okay. So I'm looking at Bob Knight the entire meal. And he never acknowledged, it was like I was a ghost. He didn't say anything. I tried to talk to him once or twice. Didn't look right through me the whole night. He really kind of was. He was an asshole. He was an asshole.
It's so funny to think about how praised he was, but then now it's that wins basketball games, and I'm like, who cares? It's college basketball.
It's amazing some of the coaches out there still. There's still a bunch of coaches that are not doing stuff like Bob Knight or even Greg Marshall punching dudes, but the verbal abuse that still goes on. And most coaches now, so many of them, Stu, when they record practice, they do it without sound now.
Yeah. I understand the climate, but it is amazing. It's a culture set up for a head coach to abuse the underlings. And it's always been set up that way. And like I've seen, one of my favorite things was when coaches were abusing the transfer block, where they could block guys from transferring, and then other coaches were coming in support of other coaches when it was blatantly unethical. And it was like, why are we asking coaches' opinions on things that'll benefit them? Like, you can't ask these guys these things, but they're always like the arbiter of morality in college basketball. It's like, you can't go to the guy with the most power. Like, that makes no sense.
Your boy Beilein got pissed at me for the Evan Smotrich deal. Do you remember?
Beilein was very stupid.
Beilein blocked Evan from transferring anywhere that any team that was on their non-conference schedule for like 2 years, I think.
Yeah, he did that for a while. Yeah.
And I called him up for it. I said that's complete bullshit. So Beilein, he found out about that. And the other thing, this is a great story. I don't know if I ever told you this. So Trey Burke, after his freshman year, I tweeted out or wrote, I probably wrote a story then. There was no Twitter. Well, maybe there was, but I said, he's leaving. He's leaving school after his freshman year. He's going pro. And I got it from Trey Burke. Like, he was the one who told me, but I said I got it from sources. I wasn't putting Trey under the bus. He had cleaned out his room. He had gone home. And Beilein and his dad talked him into, rightfully so, coming back for his sophomore year. He should have come back, and it obviously worked out for him well. So I put that out there, and obviously I was wrong. So I was wrong about that. And then Beilein was not happy with my Evan Smotrich stuff too. So we actually had a talk. He called me, and we had kind of, like talking to your grandfather. Like, I felt like I was getting scolded, right? Yeah. Like I was getting scolded. And I said, John, like, I get it. We explained at first. I started with the Smotrich thing. I was like, I just don't believe in that. Like, I feel like if you don't want him to play in the league, that's one thing, but you shouldn't ban him from playing anybody on your schedule in the non-conference for 2 years. That's insane. And then we talked about the Trey Burke thing. And I literally said to him, I said, John, honestly, you should be thanking me, because when I put it out there, every Michigan fan, everybody killed Trey. They're like, what are you doing, you idiot? How could you leave after your freshman year? This is so dumb. And I do think, I'm not saying I played a huge part in it, but I think the backlash also, in addition, obviously, Beilein and his dad played a much bigger part. But I do think the public scrutiny played a little bit of a part in it.
Yeah. Do you see how he did that? Do you see how he did that? Yeah. I don't want to take all the credit, but
no,
I did it. It was me. It was me. I'm the hero. I'm the guy that swooped in and saved Trey Burke's career. I should get 3% of his career earnings in the NBA now.
I think I'm his agent now. Yeah, exactly. No, it was a funny story. I walked in. This is, after I lost my senior year, and I'm just in the office and, farting around. And I walk into Bakari Alexander's office, and he's like hard at work, like looking at his computer, doing some writing, printing out papers. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm just trying to have a fun conversation with him. He's like, it's a full list of guys that are basically profiles of Trey's exact, like, stats, height, weight, where they got drafted, like the lack of success that they had after their freshman year, like all similar profiles of Trey, and like just trying to anything they could do to convince him to come back. And it worked, but it was like part of their job, saving their job and like elevating their careers was, I mean, imagine just you're asking a 19-year-old kid to stay in college. Like, it's just things you never picture yourself doing when you're like, yeah,
that was better than when Rick Barnes tried to convince Kevin Durant to come back for his sophomore year.
Oh, God. Why would you ever try to do that?
He tried. Not for long, but like he actually had a conversation where he tried.
I mean, I guess I respect it.
I think the assistants at Texas were like, hey, coach, like,
just, yeah.
Enough, man. Like, this ain't going to make us look good.
No, that's the other thing. You piss them off.
Yeah, let him go. Let him go. All right. Duke is down 5 with 1:15. And I'm watching Robbie Hummel on the Big Ten Network. Did he just call that game?
Yeah, Michigan State won. Aaron Henry, 22 points, 8 boards, 5 assists. Big win.
Indianapolis.
Bad day for Stu. Rough day for Stu.
Yeah, I am not pleased. I mean, I am kind of glad to see Aaron Henry win, and I kind of like Josh Langford in the turnaround. Like, it's kind of fun to like see them win a little more. But
Langford's awesome. Langford's
were you and Josh in the same high school class?
Yeah, and that one kid, Perry Ellis from Kansas. We all knew him.
Pretty much.
Did you see Mitch Lightfoot's coming back for another year at Kansas? 6 years.
Is he definitely?
Yeah, he announced it on his senior night. He's coming back. That's all. I love it. Let's keep him there. Let's see how many years we can keep Mitch Lightfoot there without people realizing that Mitch Lightfoot is supposed to be gone. This is going to be year 6 for him.
I watched Lightfoot AAU the same year I saw Markelle Fultz for the first time in AAU. I remember seeing Lightfoot. They might have played against each other that time. It was like down in Atlanta or something. By the way, hey Dauster, we're gonna bring on Eric Bossi, a recruiting guy. Stu, I told this story about Reggie Rose yesterday, and how Derrick Rose's older brother, how we kind of went at it. There was a part of the story which was by far the best part. I'm not going to tell it now. I don't think Bossi will probably do it better justice of telling the whole story. Yeah, that's pretty good. But incredible story in which I feared for my life when I went back out to the parking lot, Stu. It was in Vegas, and I'm not kidding. I feared for my life.
What did you do?
Well, fine. I'll sort of tell it, but I really will tell it much better. But basically, so his team, he was coaching an AAU team, and Derek was already in the NBA at this point, and they were down like 30 points to a team from Canada. And Bossi reminds me, like Andrew Wiggins was like a rising 9th grader on that team. I didn't even remember that. Honestly, I had no idea. But they're down by 30, and they had a call go against them, or probably not even go against them, but he was just pissed off at a call. So Reggie Rose basically took his guys off the court, and they quit. They quit the game. So I was like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So now it's coming back to me because Bossi texted me this morning, and he goes, what really? Because I basically said it's Bush League to Reggie that you take your team off the court because you got a chance to give some other guys an opportunity to be seen at the end of the bench and maybe get a scholarship, whatever. What I forgot was I also asked them who took his brother's SAT.
Oh,
yes.
Ballsy, Jeff.
I forgot that. How can I forget that? I have no idea. But yeah, so we were kind of nose to nose, and we'll bring on Eric. He'll tell it way better than me.
You deserve to get your ass kicked on that one.
Yeah,
you deserve to get your ass kicked for that one. You left that part out of the story.
I love your memory there. I appreciate that. That's confidence, Jeff.
No, that's stupidity.
Yeah, well,
that is stupidity, is what that is.
So we can end the stream on this because I think it's hilarious. We were talking about how old people are, right? Mark Vital, his birthday is November 7th, 1996. Devin Booker, his birthday is October 30th, 1996. Mark Vital is 7 days younger than Devin Booker.
Mark Vital committed to Baylor 8 years ago. I told him that when I talked to him. He's like, 8 years ago, he committed to Baylor. 8 years ago. Crazy.
I got a better one for you. Demetric Trice was born May 2nd, 1996. He's 3 months older than Devin Booker. Devin Booker's been in the NBA since 2015. Demetric Trice is 3 months older than him.
I think every guy on BYU roster is older than Devin Booker.
Do you think that Wisconsin's entire roster is going to come back next year and take advantage of the extra year of eligibility?
Will they be any better?
They would be the team to do it.
Will it matter? I mean,
are they winning tonight?
The face shields are up 6 with 16 seconds left, and they have the ball. Ed, oh, what a dumb pass! What the hell is he doing? What is going on? Duke for 3, he hits it. Oh my God, the Fighting Face Shields. What are they doing?
It's not tied. They're still up 3. You still got the cover. Don't worry.
I know. Man, and a steal. Duke got the ball to 3. Wendell Moore. Oh, he misses. Duke, though, got fouled.
Should have been a radio, yeah.
They had a chance to tie it. Georgia Tech was up 6 with the ball with, 17 seconds left?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
All right. I think that's the sign that we need to end the stream. Stu, I hope you enjoy your beef chili.
Oh, always. Yeah, a little cheese, a little diced shallot on there. Yeah, it's good to go.
Are you a sour cream and chili guy?
I did it today and it was good. It kind of varies. I'm getting more into the sour cream. Yeah.
I go with the sharp cheddar. I don't do the sour cream. I think it like thickens it up a little bit. I'd rather just throw some extra cheese in there, you know.
Combo. I did sharp cheddar and sour cream. I mean, I was doing best of both worlds.
Interesting.
Down 2 seconds left. 2.6 seconds left. They're gonna miss the free throw.
Give me your best radio call of this.
All right. Was it Williams? I can't really see that. Terrible free throw. He just threw it off the backboard like it was one of those bonehead plays. He missed everything. Just hit. Oh man, the face shield screwed up. Now this is brutal.
Just some great execution on the stretch, huh?
Bye, Duke.
Hey,
Bye,
Duke.
Duke.
Off his face shield. He took it off. 2.6 left. He got rid of the face shield.
I Googled Josh Pastner face shield, and the first thing that came up was he slammed it and got a tech in one game, and I was like, all right.
And they got fouled, 1.8 left.
Goodman, if Indiana misses the NCAA tournament and they finish with a losing record, give me odds right now on Archie Miller keeping his job. Odds.
I think it's
what number would you need to bet on Archie Miller keeping his job?
I'd probably need like 3-2.
Better chance of making the NBA.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, honestly, yeah, he shouldn't. I hate to say he shouldn't because, again, I feel like in the pandemic, it's hard to say that, but I just don't see it getting much better anytime soon. They do not have the talent.
If they lose TJD. What do you think if he leaves and they go after Scott Drew? Do you think that is a realistic option that they can get?
Maybe.
Really?
Scott Drew, Valpo guy, Indiana roots.
God, but I don't know, man. You have to really be banking on yourself. You already built the program, didn't you?
Yeah. But it's Indiana. His family lives in Arizona, so that he wouldn't be coming back closer to all of them. But I feel like that's who you go after, right? Like, who else are you going to get that's at that level?
I think you find a guy like Jawan. Like, you need those East Coast guys to come back to playing at IU. Like, East Coast guys, New York people love IU. I don't know what it is. They need more of that East Coast talent. Like, they should have had Kyrie Irving. You know, that's a great story I'll tell one day. Tom Crean literally lost himself Kyrie Irving. And it is like,
you can't tell it right now? You can't tell it right now?
No, I can't tell it right now. I got to save that one.
All right.
All right, we'll save that one.